How can you hack your brain to do hard things? How can you overcome resistance to finally do the hard things you know you need to do in order to progress towards your goals in your life and in your business? In this episode, I'm going to break through the 5R process that I've seen that can support you to break through that resistance and to create and to take action on what is important for you in your life and in your work. The first R is resistance mastery. That initial feeling of resistance before you do anything hard is biological and totally normal. Your brain doesn't want you to do extra effort because it costs energy to your body, and therefore it is trying to prevent you from energy depletion. It's trying to prevent you from lacking that energy, and it's blocking you from taking the action. So resistance will show up every single time you want to do something hard, whether it's physically hard or demanding or deep work, or anything that is challenging for you mentally or physically. The first rule here is to accept that you will feel resistance and even to anticipate it. You know you will feel resistance just before diving into deep work or exercising, and so you're not surprised when it shows up. Then the next bit here is to break it into tiny steps, because if it's something very small, it's still challenging, there's still some resistance, but it's not as difficult. And you must have heard this many times before, breaking your goal into small steps. It's a concept that comes up all the time, but there's a reason for this. It's because it works. So if you're planning on writing a whole 10-page document, you open the document and you think, I will write the first paragraph to begin with. Or I will just put on my exercise clothes just before you work out to begin with. And therefore you make it easier on your brain because it's not as hard, it's not as big as a jump and leap compared to if you're thinking and visualizing the entire goal. And the last part here around mastery of resistance is to do nothing else. So the do nothing rule is you set yourself the target and the aim, the action that you're going to take, and you don't allow yourself to do anything else until you've made progress on that one action. The do nothing rule has literally helped me to write a book. It has helped me to create a gazillion podcast episode. It has helped me in so many different areas because I set myself the target of doing that one thing. And then even if I don't feel like it, I just wait and do nothing else until I take that action. So that could be staring out the window or drinking my tea or just waiting a bit until the resistance is slightly lower and I feel I can begin. And sometimes this process is 30 seconds or 10 seconds, and sometimes it's 10, 15 minutes. But as long as you don't do anything else, at one point you will get bored and you think, I might as well just do it. And then this gives you that extra impetus. So this is the first step to being able to do hard things. That first step is resistance mastery. The second step is reward. One of the reasons we struggle nowadays with doing hard things more than I believe in the past is because our dopamine is really well regulated. We're so used to getting dopamine from doing very small, easy things, just scrolling the phone, watching a new YouTube video, listening to something fun, that suddenly the brain thinks, well, why would I put in the effort to do all of this hard work when I can get my dopamine from all this easy thing instead? And therefore, when you process what you're doing in a way that you allow yourself to feel a greater amount of reward from what you've done that's hard, you will release greater dopamine. And the key for this, several things. First of all, if it's something like a workout and exercise, you naturally will get dopamine from doing it. And in deep work also from the satisfaction of progressing. But you can do that a step further if on top of that you celebrate it and you really feel this sense of joy and satisfaction and fulfillment that you've made progress towards this goal. You're releasing more dopamine. You can celebrate with other people. You can share it with someone. This is specifically the case if you're working on certain goals that you know you're really struggling to do. And then the dopamine you'll see when you actually overcome that procrastination and get to the other side will be way bigger. And then when that happens, your brain craves the dopamine again, and then you want to do it again. It's a very natural biological phenomenon that when you get dopamine from an activity, you'll want to do it again. So the stronger the reward, the more you'll want to do it. And the more the easy stuff, even though it's easy, fast dopamine, it won't be as fulfilling, it won't be as satisfying. And you will crave more doing the hard things because that's a real rush and release of dopamine. So that's the second step, the reward. The third one is to rewire. We want to rewire the way our brain thinks about hard activities. This could be, for instance, through visualizing yourself doing the activity, feeling good while you're doing the activity. It can be having role models that you look up to and mentors that are taking these actions and that are working on similar goals, and therefore you find it inspiring. So you suddenly rewiring your whole brain and the way you think about things because you're getting inspired from other people that are doing those actions. For instance, if you're a creator or an artist, then you might want to see other painters do their painting, and this makes you think and visualize and process the idea of doing it, or having a support group of friends who do painting, or musicians if you're a musician, or business owners if you're growing your own business. And the more you can rewire your brain to crave doing these activities because everyone else around you is doing it, and because this is actually what you want to do, you rewire it through strong purpose, through a strong why, through these strong visualizations. This can help to shift the way you see it. Instead of seeing it as a burden and something you know you should do and feeling guilt around it, you transform that guilt, you rewire it into a sense of pleasure and play and expansion that makes you want to take action. And this is directly correlated with the fourth step, which is reframing. We want to reframe that discomfort, that resistance, those hard things into a discipline and a growth moment. So seeing every time you overcome discomfort, every time you're able to be disciplined and you step into it and you overcome that discomfort, then you see yourself in this new identity and in this growth moment. And if we think of the brain here, the anterior cingulate cortex, which is a part of the brain that deals with risk and uncertainty, if you're able to reframe this as a growth moment, it will no longer label this as a danger. And therefore, you will be more likely to take action towards it because your brain has now, and the anterior cingulate cortex, a part of your brain, has now no longer labeled it as a danger. It feels safe because you've identified that each moment you're doing something challenging and difficult, you are stepping into your growth, and it is a change of identity. So for instance, if you're working on growing your business and doing more sales calls, at first it might be scary to do these sales calls and there might be an initial block. But as you do it, and each time you feel uncomfortable and you think this is a growth moment, this is where my identity expands, this is part of growing my business, you feel connected to the why, you get that huge reward, dopamine from it, then the brain starts to get used to it and think that it's okay because it feels like it's a more safe path towards which to go. And the last step with overcoming that resistance and doing hard things is rest. After you've done this hard work and deep work, then you rest, you stop, you take some time to recuperate, even if it's just 5 minutes, whether it's after your workout or your deep work in the morning or a challenging business call that you had. Is so important not only to have that reward, but also to allow your brain to recuperate and rest so that you're able to challenge hard things again, because we don't want to push ourselves so much that we burn out. So let's briefly recap the 5 steps. The first step is resistance mastery. So it's being able to break it down into tiny steps and applying that do nothing rule so you finally take action. The second step is reward, fully celebrating and allowing yourself to feel that dopamine surge once you've done hard things. The third one is rewire. Rewire your brain to see things from a different perspective so it starts to feel easier and lighter, whether this is through visualization or having a peer group of people that are working on similar goals. The fourth step is to reframe. Reframe the hard things as being part of a growth moment, that the discipline is part of what is building you and shifting your identity and your growth. And the fifth step is rest, allowing some rest for you to recover after you've done these hard things. And if you apply these 5 steps continuously as you take action on things that are challenging, once more, whether it's physically challenging or mentally challenging, you will find that you get used to the dopamine surge. You have this peer group supporting you on similar goals. You see things from a different perspective, and you see yourself in the light of somebody who takes action and who masters resistance. And when you see yourself in that light, you will want to be consistent with yourself and with your progress. I hope that this has been useful for you. If you're new to the channel, my name is Katie. I work as a high performance and conscious leadership coach, speaker, and podcast host. And once more, if you're new, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on this topic, and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you're listening to this via podcast. Your support means the world, and it really helps me to show up every single week So thank you so much for tuning in, and see you in the next episode.